This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, look in big red letters, that's me, Alex. In white it says The Ramble, that's the program and it goes till midnight tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, out to California we go, yes, Larry Bubbles Brown. Hey.
Yes, buried in crappy weather.
Well, you guys are never happy.
No, we have two seasons, fire and flood. So.
Okay, fire and flood.
And now we're in the flood season.
Oh boy, Jesus! You know, it's terrible. It's really not good. Oh well, what the hell?
100 inches of snow in Tahoe.
100 inches of snow in Tahoe?
Past week, yeah. It's just crazy.
You know what's terrific about that, if you think about it, okay, is that it gives you a big snowpack, and that means this summer, when that all melts, comes down and fills up the lakes and the reservoirs and things like that, you know?
Yeah, and it's been pretty dry here the past few years, so that'll be good.
I saw a report the other day about the lakes in Marin County, up above San Anselmo, where I lived. There were these 5 lakes. There was Lake Lagunitas, Lake Bontempi, Lake, Lake whatever. There were 5 of them. And we used to go hiking around them and everything. And they were also used as reservoirs for Marin County. All right? So we'd go hiking up there. And so I saw a report on the air the other day. They showed the lakes. They were empty. They were like almost bone dry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like as though the God came along and said, I hate California, and I'm going to put all this pestilence in their way, you know, floods and non-floods and fires and whatever. So,
Well, it could lower the population.
It could lower the population. So anyway, it's been quite a time for you guys out there. You know,
yeah,
it's not good. By the way, I have to, before we go any further, I have a couple of things. Number one, I'm a little tired today. I don't know why. I'm a little wonky. So if I sound strange, just tell me. Okay. All right. But I suddenly, before I was going to go do this, I went, better run into the bedroom and put on some pants. Because I'm talking to Larry. And I'm going, why do I put on pants? What is my thinking about that? Larry's not going to see that I'm only in my underwear. But
if we're in the same room, I would demand you have pants on.
But for instance, do you have pants on right now?
No.
No?
I got my shorts on.
You got your underpants on, huh?
My running shorts.
Oh, your running shorts. Oh,
yeah. Okay.
Well, that's pants. I mean, I have kind of. These aren't pants exactly, but they're kind of like, you know, pajama bottoms and things like that. So, you know, but I just feel and I said to myself, why do I suddenly feel I have to get dressed? You know, I could sit here naked and it wouldn't matter. We're not doing this by video.
No, and don't people that read the news just they don't have nice clothes underneath the desk, right?
Right. In fact, to tell you the truth, folks, when you watch your local newsman, he's sitting there behind the desk, he's probably got jeans on.
Yeah.
In fact, I always wore jeans, and then I would wear a jacket, a tie, and a shirt, and all of that when I would go out and do some of those stand-up things for log-on TV. Because what I realized is that I could be wearing jeans, and nobody really notices it. You know, they're only looking at the top half of you, even when you're shown full length. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I never ever put on a pair of suit pants. I'd wear a suit jacket and tie and shirt and a pair of jeans.
Like when you did Comedy Tonight.
Yeah, and when I did Comedy Tonight, did I wear jeans? Huh.
You definitely had a jacket and tie on top.
Yeah, I don't think I was wearing jeans. I think it was actually because there was an audience there. And so I kind of dressed for the audience. But anyway, so that's the strangeness of me thinking that I've got to take put some pants on for Larry.
That was the beauty of radio. You never had to worry about how you looked.
That's true, but I didn't ever come without pants on, because I had a studio audience, right?
Yeah.
But, really, normally when you do a radio show, you really don't have to look any particular way, It's radio. Of course, when I was at Sirius XM, I didn't dress up, but I didn't dress down. I wore jeans and, maybe a shirt and things like that because I was going into an office building, big office building, Rockefeller Center. And that dictated that I at least care about my look a little bit because later on in the day, the bosses were going to look at me and I didn't want them to go, is he coming in that way again? So. But as a comedian, you can wear anything you goddamn feel like wearing, right?
Yes, I think male comedians are probably considered the worst dressers on the planet.
Really?
I think, we have a horrible reputation.
I never thought about that, but you really are. You don't think about it. Now, how about female comics? Do they think about how they look?
Yeah, they're much better than the males, for sure.
But much better in what way? That they wear nicer clothes? Or?
Yeah, exactly. The average male comedian dresses like the campus rapist, I think. That's just torn jeans. Look very suspicious.
The campus rapist. Or a campus racist. That's possible, too.
Yes.
Jeez almighty. Yeah. Radio people, how do they dress? They dress like the music they're playing,
I wonder how that. I looked at there was I saw some video of San Francisco in the 50s, and just everybody on downtown everyone had suits on. So.
You noticed that too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. You look at old film of people back. And walking down the streets of New York back in 1950, they're all wearing suits. They're all dressed to the nines. There's nobody out there looking like a slob.
No, there's much sharper back then. I kind of liked it, even though I hated wearing suits myself.
Now, if we took a shot of the street and people walking down it, I doubt if you'll see very many suits, even in places like Madison Avenue where suits used to reign supreme.
Yeah, and I would think there's absolutely no suits in the tech industry.
I wouldn't think so. No. When I worked in the tech industry, everybody just came like they felt like coming,
Yeah.
And they fight for in the tech industry. They allow you to have your individualism. Everybody has a cubicle. Because that's the way things are. You have a cubicle, and that's what you work out of at an office building. Which, by the way, are going the way of the dodo because everybody's starting to work from home. All right, so people just used to at least in Silicon Valley they would have a cubicle, and then they were allowed to dress up their cubicle in any way that felt good for them. Like over at Pixar, good example. I went over there. They have some of the most elaborate cubicles you see anywhere. Some guy would do it like in a war motif with the netting overhead and camouflage and everything. And next door, it's like it's fairy tale land, Everybody was able to take their cubicle and decorate it the way they wanted to. An ethic I don't think you would have found anywhere else.
That sounds like a fun place to work.
Oh, I'm sure it's a fun place to work. But you know why they make it fun places to work? I'll tell you this. This is the great sin of Silicon Valley, and they never tell you this, and they always pretend like, oh, we have a very open company here where you can express your personal desires, like having a camouflaged cubicle, things like that. And we allow all that. And also, we have free food. We have a free cafeteria where you can go in, and we have some of the best chefs have designed the food here at, Pixar or wherever. And you go, wow, that's terrific. But then you realize these people are working 18 hours a day.
That's what they did for a lot of the writers in TV in the 90s. 'Cause, yeah, they didn't want you leaving.
Right. So your work, these people at any one of these tech companies go, well, I've got really good stock they're giving me in the company. I've got some stock they're giving me in the company, and they're this, and I get the free lunches and everything. How many hours a day do you work? 18? What?
Yeah.
Isn't that against child labor laws or something?
You would
I don't
think.
know. So really, you're the sucker. You've been suckered into doing this thing. You get what I'm saying? You know, and being told you get all these benefits. But you got to work 18. If you didn't work 18 hours a day, they look down on you. You know, you weren't
I
a team
remember
player.
some people that wrote for Roseanne. Sometimes that they said those shows, the writers would be there till 3 in the morning.
Yeah. But there's a certain positive thing to that, because with TV shows they have a limited year. It's not like you're working a full year.
Right.
And you probably take off half the year. You're not even working. As a matter of fact, and I'm told this is I know this is true because I know people who have had to do it. Let's say you're doing Roseanne. You're a writer for Roseanne. I think Feldman told me this story. You're a writer for Roseanne, and now it's come summer, and the show hasn't been renewed yet. Okay. But so you leave well ahead of renewals, and it's the end of the year. You have to clear out your desk and take everything home. Because if they don't renew you, you're going to have to do that anyway.
Yeah.
And they don't want you coming back, so you have to do it now. So all these offices clear out, and the people in them clear out the stuff that's in there because they may not get renewed. So every year there's an exodus. Now, there are exceptions. I remember the Letterman show, nobody did that, but the Letterman show was produced pretty much 52 weeks a year technically. I mean, they took weeks off, but they were working pretty much a stream of shows for 52 weeks. Even when they were off for a holiday, technically, a lot of people were supposed to go in and work anyway because they're planning future shows and so on. And they're paid for a 48-week time span. So they're hired for that. Am I making any sense here?
Yeah, so that would have been a good gig.
Oh, you know what the best gig is? Ready for this? Game shows. Why?
Oh, because I think you tape.
Go ahead.
You tape a year's worth in 3 months.
I think less than that. I mean, what happens is you do a half a year's worth of shows. Okay, so that would be 5 times 26. Okay, how much is 5 times 26?
That'd be 30.
I thought you were good at this.
130.
130. Okay, so you're going to do 130 shows. They do 5 shows a day. All right? For 5 days a week. So now we're up to what? Is that 25?
Mm-hmm.
Then we get so to do 130 shows takes about 6 weeks. You do 6 weeks, and you're off for a year.
So that's a very intense 6 weeks.
It's a very intense 6 weeks, but once you're through with that, and sometimes they didn't do them all at once. They did the 6 weeks. Maybe they did a week here, and then a week there, and a week there. But the fact is, technically, you only had to work 6 weeks out of the year, and you're making like a couple of million for being the host of the show, you know?
Yeah, that's, I think Hollywood Squares did that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a terrific gig. And you know, we're talking if you're a half-hour game show, okay, there's only a couple of one-hour game shows that I know, but your half-hour game show, you know, like Jeopardy or Price is Right, or not Price is Right, but Wheel of Fortune. Those you just you do them and go home. 6 weeks, boom, out of there. And each day you only have to work 2.5 hours.
God, that's great.
It's the best gig in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know, and you wonder why some of these people decide, oh, you know, like Drew Carey, I'm going to do a game show. That's why. You know, he had a series, he had a comedy career, but if he wanted to make money and he was offered The Price is Right, take it. You know, who's going to turn down that gig?
I know a couple of people did turn down those gigs. They just thought it looked bad to do a game show, but I guess you don't need the money. You wouldn't do it.
Well, years ago, I was this guy I knew took me into. He said, "I'm going to get you an agent." I said, "Oh, okay." You know, and in those days, I had a hair down to my shoulders, and I, wore jeans, and I looked like a hippie, right? And so we go up to this agent. He's on Madison Avenue, and I go in, and I sit down. And he talks to me a little bit, and the other guy came with me. I think later he went. I think this guy later went. His name was Block, and he went to work for Carson. He was one of his major producers. But anyway, he brought me over there, and he's talking to the guy, and the guy's talking to me, and we have this. Then they go and they talk to each other, right? It's kind of a private conversation, and then finally the agent looks back at me and goes, "Can you cut your hair?" I said, "Yeah, I suppose, if the thing is right." He says, "Well, if you do, I think I can get you a game show." And I went, "Wait a minute, this guy doesn't know what I do for a living. He doesn't know I'm the hippie on the radio, that I'm the, what do they call me, the youth guru, I think was the term they used in the press to describe me. So he doesn't know what I do, and he's not going out to find me a job that fits me. He just knows he can get me a game show." And now I'm kind of feel bad that I didn't take him up on that. Because I'm sitting here, how many years later, saying, you know what the best job is in television? It's a game show. I don't know if it was back then, but it certainly is now.
Who would be fabulously wealthy from games? Pat Sajak?
Pat Sajak did very well. At some point, though, he screwed up, I think. He was a kind of a co-executive producer or whatever on Wheel of Fortune. And then he left Wheel of Fortune for a short time to go do something else. Not the late-night CBS show. Maybe it was the late-night CBS show. And then when that died, he came crawling back and said, "I want my job back on Wheel." And they said, "You can have it back, but you can't be a producer anymore."
Oh.
So I think he took a little hit in the pocketbook on that one. All right. So, But if you weren't doing what you're doing, which is what you're not doing because you can't do it when there's a COVID upsurge or whatever, what would you rather be doing?
I thought about that. I don't know. I've had day jobs. They will drain you. I've actually thought about working in the zoo because I like animals.
Not the Holy City Zoo, but the zoo.
No, the real zoo. Yes.
You would. Okay, so let's say, comedy, let's say, dies on you, and it dies for a lot of people, and they usually go into what, real estate?
A lot of them have gone into real estate. In fact, Robert Morton is now into real estate.
Yes, that's what I heard. Now, Robert Morton, in case people don't know the name, was David Letterman's producer for many, many years.
At NBC and CBS.
And CBS, and then they had a falling out, and he left. Okay.
Yeah, they did have a falling out. I never heard the story behind that, but I think something went down.
Yeah, and he was replaced by another kid. I'm trying to remember his name now. But he then went over to, I think he went over to Fox, and you remember the Wilton North Report? Wow, how can I remember that name? Wilton North Report, you remember that show?
Oh, I thought that was Barry Sand.
Oh, you're right, it was Barry Sand. I take it back. Sorry, it wasn't Robert Morton. Where did Morty go? I'm trying to
Morty
remember.
went to Comedy Central and did the Mind of Mencia, or Carlos Mencia, and then I didn't hear about him for a while, so I didn't know what he was doing. And then on Facebook recently popped up, he's doing real estate, I think in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, well,
which could be very lucrative.
I would say. And Morty's a good schmoozer. So, you know, it's maybe a job that suits him quite well. Wow, why did I mix up Barry Sand?
Well, my first...
Barry Sand... But wait a minute, Barry Sand was a producer for Letterman at one point.
Well, I'll tell you that. Yeah, he was a producer, and during my first Letterman, I'd gone back in June and got bumped, and then Barry Sand got fired, and I was Morty's first show when he was producer.
Yeah, then you brought... Barry Sand produced David Letterman, The Late Show. Not The Late Show, Late Night. David Letterman at NBC, and then they got rid of him and replaced him with Morty, who I think was already on staff or something like that, you know.
And I guess Barry Sand had this great. He'd been with the original SCTV as a producer,
right? That's why he was brought in. They thought he would work that kind of magic.
Letterman. And then he did Wilton North, which was apparently one of the biggest flops in TV history.
Hosted by.
I don't remember.
Just tell me where they were from.
Sacramento.
Yeah, they were disc jockeys in Sacramento.
That was right, disc jockeys.
Had never done TV, okay, and they hired them to host the show. Wow.
That's a bad gamble right there. They've never done TV.
Well, to begin with, to take people who have never done TV, who are radio, and suddenly put them on a national TV show that's replacing David Letterman for Christ's sake, wow, you know. So they were the hosts of the show. I think the thing lasted like 4 weeks or something.
It was very short, yeah.
I think it lasted slightly longer than the Chevy Chase late night show.
Yeah. What's the show you talked about that got canceled in the same night? It didn't make it to the West Coast.
Oh, that was the ABC hired the guy who did Laugh-In to do
George Slaughter.
George Slaughter, and it was called. I'm trying to remember the name. It had a hippie. It had a drug name, kind of. Oh God, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember it right now. I'll look it up during our break here. Okay. But it lasted one night. I had a friend who
one night.
I had a friend who was on it, and the next day he comes in, and he said it was like there was tumbleweed rolling through the offices. And he said, "What happened?" And they said, "Oh, didn't you hear we've been canceled?" And when were we canceled? He said, "In the middle of last night's show." They actually canceled it in the middle of Psych Out. What was it called? Something Out, I think. Something. I'll look it up. But I mean, what a story! What a story on that one. I'll tell you some others soon. But listen, we got to kind of, I think, almost get out of here. We got about a minute left. Anything?
Okay. Well, we love talking about failures.
Well, it makes us feel better about ourselves.
Yeah, it makes us better.
You know, I mean,
Wilton North Report. I remember that now. They were disc jockeys. God.
I may not have ever had a national TV show, but at least I was on. You know, I wasn't on Wilton North Report. You know, so I can't feel too bad about my career.
We got to see if there's any video of that show available.
You know something? I think I found it on YouTube. There is like a Wilton North Report episode or something. It was a badly conceived idea, and and it was on Fox. And Fox, they were going up against Carson. What do you expect to happen? It's the kind of thing, the kind of place you can't win. Anyway, Larry, good talking to you.
Good seeing you, Alex.
Let's do it again next week, okay?
We will, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Oh, yes, okay. Thank you very much, Larry Bubbles Brown. We enjoy your company. That's what we do. Anyway, excuse me if you were looking for our show last night after the show, like on YouTube, just the one we post, or the one we post on Facebook. The video version didn't get recorded last night. And the reason it didn't get, well, I want to explain why it didn't get recorded, but it just didn't. Because something went wrong with the Gazorchness here. But anyway, so I wasn't able to post it. And because YouTube does not allow me to download the last night's show from the one that was recorded on the air by YouTube until the next day, about 12 hours later, I wasn't able to post it till earlier today. So I'm sorry if a lot of you were looking for it and you couldn't find it. By the way, I've been told that there is a subscribe button at the bottom of this video as it plays right now, and it says subscribe, and it would be very nice if you subscribe to us. I'm just mentioning that because everybody I see on YouTube goes, push the button down there and like me and friend me and tell me I'm wonderful. So I don't know, just push the subscribe button. It would help. Every time I mention that, I lose 2 subscribers. Suddenly people realize, hey, I was subscribing to him and I really don't give a crap about that. Anyway, I think it's time to bring in our citizen panel. There are some people lining up, one of which is in Australia, oddly enough, and there they come. Yes, sir. There's Josh Wheeler, and there is Ross Manuel, who is in Australia. Crikey.
Another such,
whatever. Anyway, hello, how are you? And
okay.
Jeff is, I don't know, he's here. Okay, good. We're glad to see that he's here. How are all you guys doing tonight? Hello, Pam, how are you? Wait a minute, you got to turn on, wait a minute, why am I not getting any audio? There we go, okay. Hi, Pam.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday to you.
Larry, good talking to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Brown.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's happening. Happening.
The Great American Broadcast.
Jeff, turn off your. Yeah, there you go. You've got it turned off. Anyway, here's what the problem is. Okay. What happens is on Facebook, I think as I do as I have a birthday or something like that, it then sends out messages to everybody. Alex Bennett is having a birthday. Why don't you wish him a happy birthday?
I didn't hear that. I'm not on Facebook.
I did.
And then I get like 8,000 happy birthday messages, okay, which are from people I don't even know.
That's right.
And it clutters up my Facebook page, but as fast as they appear, the next day or so, they all disappear. Facebook gets rid of them, But so if I try to post a show tonight, go looking for it somewhere in all those, happy birthday, Alex, have a good birthday.
That's why I didn't do it on Facebook.
What?
What'd you say? I didn't do it on Facebook.
How do you do it on Facebook? You just.
That's why she didn't put it on.
Oh, that's why she didn't put it on Facebook. Well, I thank her. I thank her for not doing it on Facebook. Hello, Jason. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah. How's everything in Australia, Ross?
things are great here.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. How's the whole COVID thing?
So everything's basically reverting to normal. So but the cases are rising again because of Omicron being what it is. But like the borders are reopening, mask mandates are disappearing, check-ins are no longer a thing, because we're also 96.5% double vaccinated. So,
oh really? Oh, that's good.
So we kind of don't care because the people who are getting it
deserve to get it.
That's how I feel.
You said that, not me.
Yeah, I am so happy that it's come back because I get to stay indoors now with an excuse. You know, yeah. Marjorie always used to say to me, "It's a beautiful day outside. You should go for a walk." And now I can go. Well, no, I don't want to get COVID. And I'm supposed to go see Shecky on Sunday, and and he's going away. He's taking a cruise. All right.
Yeah.
But I was going to go out and see him before he went on his cruise, and now I really can't because I don't really want to get on a subway. You know,
He might not get COVID, but he might get the other disease that you get on cruise lines.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you shit yourself.
Yeah, I remember that cruise where everybody was getting diarrhea and it was a total mess. But so and then we were supposed to go out and have lunch tomorrow, birthday lunch, Marjorie and I at our favorite restaurant, and we're canceling it. We're not going to go. You know, we're all of a sudden there's this surge in New York City. We had 3 times the cases today we did yesterday.
You're vaccinated. You can go.
They're saying they don't know. Listen, I finally decided the CDC and everybody else, they don't know crap, right? You know, they really don't know crap.
See, that's why I think they're talking about the Omicron really isn't as bad, because I don't know that it's not, but it's a lot of people who are vaccinated are getting it, and so then they don't have bad symptoms.
Here's the thing. People need to have confidence in these health organizations. And they don't have much confidence in them when they're starting to get differing messages like, well, the Omicron is going to be horrible. It's coming any day now. Well, maybe it's not as bad as we thought it was. Wait a minute. It is as bad as we thought it was. No, it's less bad than we thought. We thought it was going to be. And I mean, this goes on and on. And then,
Alex,
you know.
The problem with that is because the sampling, the data they have is from countries with very low vaccination rates. So they, like in Central Africa and South Africa, they sit and they go, in those countries, it is horrible because the mass of the population is unvaccinated. But when it gets to highly vaccinated countries, they're like, well, the data that we had is based on a population that's 80% unvaccinated.
Yeah, but what are we going to...
population is only 20% unvaccinated. It's not that bad. Yes, people who are vaccinated are catching it, but they're not showing severe symptoms, or they're being asymptomatic, or they're not presenting to hospital. It's just those who aren't vaccinated who
some
are.
people are still vaccinated, and I think they're still dying. There are still those people.
That's been true all along. That's been true all along.
I don't know that anybody who has been vaccinated has died from Omicron yet, though.
Well,
but that being said, you know, like the Spanish flu is something we vaccinate against every year. It's called influenza B.
Oh, really?
Yeah, influenza B. The Spanish flu never went away. It was just vaccinated against, and you get a booster every year.
But I love these anti-vaxxers who are sitting there saying, oh, well, Omicron isn't as bad, so maybe we should just get Omicron instead of getting vaccinated. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, the trouble is, I mean, I know this sounds stupid in Australia, but it's a political issue here. Now, I know that you find that hard to believe that anything can be a political issue, you know, when it's a matter of life or death. But it is here in America because we're silly, stupid people, you know.
And I think it really is.
Have-nots.
It really is all over, and it's really put out there what the political things that are. It's not really Democrats and Republicans. It's me versus we. There's a mentality of we, and there's a mentality of me, and that's really become prevalent during this whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like Australia's not immune to it. I mean, we do have a very small percentage of our population who believes the same thing, who believes that, you know, these mandates are imposing upon me because the government shouldn't be impacting upon my right to choose things. I mean, someone was famously on TV saying, I don't wear and I don't carry an umbrella to protect you from the rain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the whole point is that you are willing to let people die because you don't want to be inconvenienced, and that's where the problem comes from. And like the difference is here is that I guess I mean, if Australia had the population size of the United States, our group would probably be about as large as yours.
Yeah.
But because we've got the population equivalent to Oakland. I mean, if you took Oakland as a city and went like, okay, what's the percentage of people who believe in everything? You'll probably get a similar result to Australia.
I think you can go to Oakland, you might find more people that believe in the vaccine than don't. I mean, you're going to have to go into the South to get people who are like in Kentucky. Hi there, Vernon. Speaking of Kentucky. The people down there, a lot of them don't get vaccinated because it's a government plot, right?
Actually, we're close to 60% vaccinated in our state.
Really? Do you know? I found out what are we? Are we in New York City? We're 85% vaccinated, but I don't know if that's both vaccinations or just at least one.
Yeah, usually it's one.
Usually it's one. I think it's something, but I think it's something like 65% for two, and then it's only 20% for triple. And I'm just wondering when we're going to have to go get our fourth.
I think my fourth, I'm going to get the Johnson & Johnson. I did the Pfizer, and then I got Moderna for my booster. Then maybe I'll try Johnson & Johnson.
You're just going to spread the wealth around, right?
Yeah.
Not a good idea. Not a good idea.
Why not?
No, yeah, you probably should stick with where you have.
Yeah, because
Pfizer or Moderna.
Well, Johnson & Johnson's a different method.
I mean, the fact that Johnson & Johnson has been disproven as actually effective in anything.
Yeah, it's like 85% effective.
Well, no, you don't. You don't bleed because you automatically grow a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
So
it has a very, very slight chance of blood clots.
Yeah, and that's in like young teenage boys or women who are on birth control.
But it has a chance of pericarditis for the inflammation of the heart muscles. So.
And that even those percentages are still so small.
But
you're more likely to get hit by a car when you walk out of your house. So
here's this messaging that goes on, where you don't know what to say and what works and what doesn't work, and that doesn't give people confidence. So that a guy like Alan there can say to somebody, hey, you better get the shot. And then they go, well, we really don't know much about it. And you know something? They're kind of acting like that, and they shouldn't be acting like that. Yeah. Yes, Ross.
Before anyone tries to correct me on the vaccination rate for Australia, we're currently now at 75.8 because we now include the 1 to 5s. So the 5 to 10s. Of the adult population, it is where I currently live. It's 94.8 of the adult population, 16 and up, double vaccinated. Where I work, it's 96.4. They actually can't calculate it any higher than that because census data may not be accurate.
Let me ask you this, though.
They have a 3% margin of error.
Yeah, Ross, let me ask you this, okay? Oh, now I forgot what I was going to ask you. Oh boy,
why is it so effective here? Because we don't have health hesitancy.
Well, that could be, but I'm saying that we, our problem here is that I think we get a lot of conflicting messages. I mean, I don't think the conflicting messages are enough that I'm not going to go out and get myself a shot, okay? Because I'm going to do everything I can to protect myself. And I don't know what the level of protection is or whether it protects against Omicron or doesn't protect against Omicron. But I do know that if I don't have it, I'm not protected at all. Yes, Jason.
So I'm an atheist, and I don't know if there's anybody here who is actually really religious. And that's why I really want to ask this question to somebody. Is it not sacrilegious to sit there and use your religion as an excuse not to get a shot if it's really not against your religion?
I don't. Most pastors have been saying to their parishioners that they should all go out and get the shots. There's nothing against their religion. I think the only religion that may have a problem with it are the Christian Scientists.
Christian Scientists.
Yeah, yeah, and that's about it.
But and that's the whole thing about. I remember some stories in Christianity or something about the people sitting on their porch in a storm coming or whatever to take shelter. Well, if God wants to take me, no, go take shelter. And that's the same thing with this. But to me, it seems as this is sacrilegious to sit there and use your religion to sit there and say, I don't want to get a shot because you're scared or whatever, but to try to use your religion against it.
Yeah, they're gonna go meet Aunt Minnie in the afterlife.
Honestly, I think those are the people who they're using their religion as the excuse to not do it, but they're not religious themselves. These are the people who are like,
they can't.
Yeah, I'm a good Christian. I go to Christmas. I go to mass every Christmas. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah, but where in the Christian religion does it say don't get vaccinated?
Yeah, because there was vaccinations during Jesus's time.
Were there? Oh, there weren't. No, there weren't.
There's a classic quote that I've often said: that if your God believes that other people should suffer, then maybe you need a new God.
Yes, Alan.
So Ross, in Australia, I have friends in Sydney, Australia.
I remember.
They were only offered the AZ, the AstraZeneca.
Yes.
And they're all double vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
AZ in England is not doing very well against Omicron. And in England, they've had a couple people die from Omicron in the past couple days. Here in America, Omicron is picking up mainly in New York and in New Jersey, but
so far,
still 98% of the people that are hospitalized or are dying are unvaccinated people, and they're dying of Delta so far. So yeah, I'm
sorry. At the time, yes, AstraZeneca was, because we could produce it locally, was the main pushed vaccine in Australia until all the blood clot problems came up, and then they basically said, okay, only certain groups of people could take the AstraZeneca vaccine. It was like over 60s, over 80s, then it was like over, it's like. And then basically once cases in Sydney got so bad, where they got to like, here's this one, 1,700 cases a day, they were like, no, everyone just get whatever vaccine you can get.
Right, but what's being offered there now are the mRNAs?
All of them. So
AstraZeneca, is that still an mRNA?
No.
No. AstraZeneca has actually been withdrawn from use here.
So what kind of vaccine is it?
Omicron, and it didn't work real well against Delta. So
what kind of vaccine is it?
It's this. It's kind of like an influenza style vaccine. So use a deactivated version of
the Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Johnson & Johnson was never sold in Australia. It was never made available in Australia. So all our AstraZeneca vaccine was actually sent to the Pacific Islands and Middle East and stuff like that.
Yeah, believe it or not, Johnson & Johnson actually has better efficacy against Delta than AstraZeneca. AstraZeneca just came out with a new what do you call it when you give somebody that's sick antibodies? I can't think of what it's called now. But AstraZeneca just came out with the people that are immune compromised in this country. The FDA approved it for people that are immune compromised. Monoclonal.
Here's my question. When the third shot was available, or at least available here in New York, it wasn't available anywhere else. The CDC hadn't recommended it yet, but Cuomo said you could go out and get it. Marjorie went out and trotted us up to our local pharmacy, and we got the third shot. Now my question is, I got that maybe 3-4 months ago. How effective is that now?
It takes about 28 days to get fully effective.
And then what
the
happens?
Third one, I thought I heard on the third one it's almost instantaneous.
Can't happen.
Yeah,
it's
what you
possible,
call
but go look into it.
Doesn't work that
well. Look at Josh sitting over there. Anything to say, Josh?
Not about vaccines. No.
You got something else you want to talk about?
I don't really know. Nothing, I'm not really sure what's going on today, so nothing major. I mean, whatever else you want to talk about, we can, talk about, but I don't really have anything on vaccines.
Yeah, I didn't watch the news at all today. Anything go on that I should know about, Vernon?
Busy day.
Oh, your mic isn't on.
Awfully quiet, Vernon.
Sorry about that.
There we go.
I didn't want to be coughing while with my mic.
You have a cough?
Oh yeah. but I'm isolated in my basement. So.
Okay.
No, it's been raining all day today, so the rescue efforts have been hampered down in western Kentucky after the tornadoes.
Okay. So, I mean, that's got to make it a real mess now. How heavy is the rain?
It's been a light rain, but just enough to make everything muddy and yucky. But the positive side of it is the number of unaccounted for people has dropped dramatically. I think there's only about 8 people now that they say are not accounted for.
So how many died total?
Right now, I think the count is like 76.
That's, if you look at the absolute destruction that thing wreaked down there, that's not bad.
No, but it's going to go down in the record as the most deaths in a tornado incident in the state of Kentucky.
Right. But how often do you get...
It was for the United States for one day, it was the most deaths by a tornado.
Yeah, but how often do you get tornadoes down there? Now, I heard
not that often, but we did get a bad one that actually hit Louisville in 1974, and it did a bunch of destruction, but there weren't that many deaths as a result.
It's too bad it didn't take Mitch McConnell with it.
Yeah, would have been good.
Well, have you heard that Trump is trying to recruit somebody to take Mitch out?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Wait a minute.
He's not being too successful, though.
When you say to take Mitch out, you mean to...
The next election.
The next election.
Oh.
Yeah.
What has he got against Mitch McConnell? Mitch McConnell was on his side for the longest time.
Yeah, but Mitch McConnell is in favor of vaccination. He really jumped all over Trump on the impeachment and said that's why he did not want to vote to convict him and remove him from office, because we have a justice system, and that the Justice Department and the criminal justice system will get him. He is not immune from that, being an ex-president.
Wow. You mean the guy who claims to have executive privilege when he's not an executive anymore?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, you lose your... we can bring Josh into this. Josh, you can't claim executive privilege after you're no longer president, right?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, not for like new communication or whatever, but I mean, you still withhold the right to private, counseling that went on between you and your advisors, at the time. I mean, I don't know that there's any really expiration or anything on that. There may be something with the National Record Keeping Act and all that, and how the archives manages it, and certain documents are released over a certain number of years, through the Freedom of Information Act requests and everything. You can get them after that, or they're just put out, sort of at a certain point. There's a schedule. But I mean, if you advise the president in a memo, 3 years into his term, January the 21st doesn't necessarily mean that the world can read the memo, a year later, is my understanding. There's a period of time that passes before some of that comes out. And I mean, they do have the right to, keep some of that in confidence after the fact. And then the next president, the incoming president, or the next president has some power, I believe, over some of that. I mean, it's a little complicated, so I don't know every single rule. But I don't believe that it goes away, instantaneously.
Is there any really actually precedent to that, though, or no?
Well, I don't think there's anything quite, controversial or anything about it. But I mean, this, memos and, all the records that are kept, emails, anything else like that, generally are released. And I think, a few waves or whatever based on when they were, some time frames and all that, as the new libraries and things like that are set up. But, it's not necessarily like as soon as a president's term is over, the public or the historians have full access to everything, really immediately. There is a waiting period for some things to get done. I don't know if it's set in stone or anything like that. And then there are things that, as far as I know, they can choose to put a privilege on for, kind of indefinitely. I think that there are documents that they can request to not have released, at all, or at least.
Let me ask you this.
Time, which usually is their death.
Do tax returns come under executive privilege?
No, they do not. But those are covered in a different way. Just you're as a private citizen. But and I think the current president, whoever they are, sometimes has some power to help former presidents out. Like a former president may want to have executive privilege for something, and maybe someone's fighting it, a lawsuit or a court order, or one of these watchdog groups or whatever, and it's been 5 or 6, 7 years, and they're saying they don't want it out yet. I think the current president can also be an executive order.
But that's exact
things, and things like that, or take them away.
Ross has his hand up. Brett, Ross.
I'm sorry, I had no idea what you guys were talking about, so I was looking at what you're referring to, because we don't hear about Trump anymore. In 2009, Obama eliminated the ability for a former president to insist upon the secrecy of his documents. The sitting president alone would decide whether to honor a former president's request to keep records secret, which is the reason why Trump is also contesting it, is because it came from Obama. Prior to that, it was your precedent comes from the Nixon from the Watergate tapes.
But
Nixon tried to get those tapes quashed because they were considered presidential record.
Yeah,
and they basically said no. And then Bush did it in 2001. But it has to be something that had to. Yeah, it basically looks like it has to be something that they had to enact while they were already president.
Okay.
To basically say this file, it's no different than secret documents in other governments. Is this has to already be flagged as not to be open for 99 years at the point in which it's done.
But I think it's just every president just honors that in order not for embarrassment for the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they'll usually have classifications for documents, and a lot of this was set up in the like the NARA, the act that authorized a lot of the stuff for the National Archives and Records Administration, who now manages all the presidential library, archives, and things like that, and permanent records for things that went on during the presidential administrations and other things in the federal government. They usually get most of the records, I think, and then they partner with the presidential libraries and stuff like that. I mean, I think they have things basically, they just categorize them, you know what I'm saying? Daily, this, that, and the others, middle ground, sensitive, and they always have those boxes or now electronic records that are going to be considered not for public consumption until a certain date, and sometimes they come out before and sometimes they don't. I mean, but that's how you got to go about it. I mean, there are historians that are suing, not really suing, but filing these these FOIA requests all the time, like over and over and over again. And I've heard so many of them in interviews and books saying, you know, I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it. I mean, I was literally filling out like one a week, and eventually they would send me like half of it because I think I was driving them crazy, you know. And then, but the one thing that I really needed, that I'm sure they knew I needed, they blacked out. You know, I mean, it was just. I've heard a ton of people talk about their FOIA requests for some of these.
Oh, I'm doing one right now.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Wow.
I think a lot of times what you'll get is, as people die, you know, you tend to get your document dumps. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 years ago.
Well, there are documents regarding the Kennedy assassination.
Yeah, they just put another.
They put a kibosh on for 100 years or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And they just put a lot of them out a few days ago. But you know, like maybe 8 or 10 years ago, there had been a few deaths of some prominent players from the Cuban Missile Crisis, and a bunch of documents were put out, and you know, it was major. It changed a lot of what, you know, we knew, or at least what we thought we knew.
I know.
And then the historiography of it changes. You know, the narrative sort of adjusts or whatever based on new information. So as people die, you know, maybe Trump will die, and then we'll get them all like next week. Or
the general rule of thumb is it's usually 75 years since the file was created.
Yeah, it's a pretty long time, right? I mean, it's really, you don't get it all, like I said, the next day. But you will get a lot of the more mundane stuff a few years out. You know, they will start putting out, as soon as they can get it set up, you'll start having access to all of the daily schedules and I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like all the press conference transcripts and all that kind of stuff, as soon as they can get it set up, and it'll just start coming out. But I mean, you're not going to get anything, you know.
Let me ask you one last question. Executive privilege, does that extend to states going after the guy? In other words, like New York is going after Trump here. Do they have? Can he yell executive privilege where that's concerned?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think it just depends what it's about. It depends what they're suing him for or investigating him for. I mean. It's completely case by case, because I mean, the only thing executive privilege is ever going to cover is your conversation or your dialogue with yourself, the president, and an advisor on issues. Okay, on you know, strategy or issues. You know, what do you think I should do here? You know, or Mr. President, this is what you should do here. I've written it down. Or they chatted for 20 minutes and someone took notes, but we can't see you know, that stuff is it's mimicked off attorney-client privilege. You know, it's not the same, but it's mirrored off of that in a way, and it's just set up to protect, you know, the confidence of the two individuals or two or more or whatever from not having something that they said ever coming out in court, or this, that, or the other, because they might have been just bouncing ideas, you know, off of each other or whatever. I mean, so I don't know, to answer your question, if that's how it would go or not, because it depends what they're asking.
Right.
I mean, if they're asking, did he have a meeting with so-and-so on such and such a date, that's not going to be covered. Okay. Yeah. But what they talked about in the meeting might be covered, you know?
Right.
I mean, that's the difference, I think.
Okay. Listen, we got some other people that have joined us, and we want to bring them into the conversation. Hello. Good evening, Kevin. How are you?
Good evening.
How's everything in your neck of the woods?
Okay. How's yours?
We're getting infected again. So, you know, happy times are here again.
Happy Omicron.
Yes, exactly. And hello to Ray Renati, who has joined us.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
I've always had so many mic problems, so okay, good.
No, you don't have any mic problems at all, sounding very good. And of course, Charlie Wallace, how you doing?
Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
Doing good.
No game tonight.
I got a forfeit for the last game, so I got away an hour early.
Oh, you got away an hour early. I see. Okay. How long?
Too many people on the COVID list?
Huh?
He said he had a forfeit. I was saying too many people on the COVID list.
Probably
they're not forfeiting.
Not forfeiting.
They're not forfeiting. The Eagles have to play the Washington football team, and there's a whole bunch of guys that are on the COVID list now for Washington, and they're going to push the game out till Tuesday instead of.
Wait a minute. I don't.
Did they buy that?
Yeah, and then they got to turn around and play Sunday again next
like
week.
a game every day next week.
Exactly.
More football for me. Hey.
The Cowboys conspiracy because the Eagles are starting to creep up on them. Cowboys.
Yeah.
When is football season over now? See, I don't know these things.
February, middle of February now.
Really? They really have stretched.
It's more like June.
When I was a kid, football went from like about late September maybe to New Year's, and that was it.
Yep.
That was football season.
Yep.
And baseball season went from something like May or something like that to like October. And now they stretched it out and stretched it out and stretched it out.
About that money.
Yeah.
And it looks to me like they play basketball 24/7.
Yeah, they have summer leagues, but yeah, the basketball, and then what they did was they extended the 5-game series for playoffs to 7 games, so they get more money there.
Now, what is this new football league that NBC is carrying?
XFL?
XFL? Is it
Is it? Because I know that was one at one point in time.
Well, XFL was
it's back.
XFL has come and gone a bunch of times.
No, but is that XFL that's come back, and is it Ed McMahon? Is it Vince McMahon, or is it just some other people now?
Donald Trump.
It's Vince McMahon, and it's a tax sink.
Oh, I said it's a tax sink.
Yep.
Okay, because I never cared about this stuff anyway. But all I know is when I was a kid, there was a certain football season, and that was it. And it was very short. And now it seems to go on forever.
Yeah, it's the USFL coming back.
USFL.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an old name from way years ago.
Yeah, I just saw a really quick blurb at a commercial. They just say coming in spring.
Yeah, but NBC is carrying it, and a couple of other cable networks are carrying it. So I guess maybe it's going to be a big deal, but they probably are doing it because people want their football year round, right?
Why not?
Now, so then how many teams are in those leagues? I saw there was maybe something like only 6 or something like that, 6 or 7.
I don't know, not worthwhile.
One of them was named the Stallions or something. I don't know. There were some strange names that didn't seem to make much sense.
Everybody's so sensitive; they're just going to call them colors.
Well, no, they had a name.
You can't call them that.
Reds, the blues.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me look up USFL. Okay, USFL. Because what happened was.
Gotta be careful what color you call them too.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, really?
Can't call them the colors.
The coloreds. No, you can't do that.
Or the reds. Or the yellows.
Are you sure it's the USF?
And no reds, no yellows, no blacks,
no browns.
There we go.
No, that knocks out the whole spectrum
United
there.
States football.
You have to call them the fades.
What teams? Okay, I was right on one of them. Right? It's the Birmingham Stallions, the Houston Gamblers, the New
Gamblers
Orleans.
are going to protest.
All right.
Huh?
Gamblers are going to protest.
Okay.
They're a protected group.
Yes, exactly.
It's not my fault.
The New Orleans Breakers and the Tampa Bay Bandits.
Oh, the Bandits.
Ooh, Bandits. That's not good for the Bandits.
It should be the Tampa Bay Tampons.
Are you telling me that this is a football league with only 4 teams?
Playoffs already started.
Any of the professional football games or whatever, do they use women on any of these games?
Referees, yeah.
And kickers.
And
kickers.
coaches.
So you have a chance, Jeff.
Isn't there an NFL team that actually has a kicker as a woman? I know it's in college.
Isn't she Australian?
I know in college it is, but
eventually
what prevents women from playing football?
They'd get their asses kicked
Well,
really badly.
I don't know.
No, they get their asses grabbed really bad.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Can you imagine? Just the upper body strength is just ridiculously different. They get destroyed.
300 pounds.
Except there's certain.
Well, they could hold. They could kick.
Well, why? For instance, baseball is a kind of. I hate to say it's a non-athletic sport, but it really is.
Yeah,
well, it really is. It's more. I always said that baseball wasn't a game of strength. It was a game of skill.
Yeah.
Agility.
Okay,
and
would you
speed
agree with
and
me on
skill.
that, Charlie? It's a game of skill. And who's to say a woman can't have that skill?
Yeah, but when you're hitting the ball with a bat, it's muscle that's doing it too. And it's man and a woman's body build is different.
Well, considering that I was never able to hit the ball, I can't even be able to
or catch it.
Discuss
Look at all the
that with
players who started hitting more home runs when they took steroids. You know, we had Barry Bonds. Who was the other guy at the same time? I forgot his name.
McGuire.
McGuire even admitted that he did it. He's the only one who admitted it.
Yeah.
Sosa
he admitted it.
Bonds'
friend went to jail.
Let me just bring this up to you.
I know the doctor.
I had an argument. I had an argument about the doping scandal that went on about the players taking steroids and things like that. And I'm going, who got hurt by that? Let's just examine this for a second.
Nobody.
Certainly not me or you who watch the games. It actually made for a better game. Okay?
Hank Aaron got hurt.
No,
I'm going to throw in Chris Benoit. Who was on roids, killed his wife and his son.
Oh, that's a good point.
Well,
also the kids, because these kids in high school started doing them, and they kept starting them earlier and earlier.
But here's my point: does the public get hurt by people on steroids, by players on steroids, or do they just get a better game? And my second point is, who does get hurt by steroids? And
testicles.
Wait a minute, let me finish.
Yeah.
It's the biggest single.
Ding dong shrink.
The boys.
It's the biggest single segment of sports fans. That's the gamblers, because steroids made it unpredictable.
Bill Burr says they should all be on steroids. It'd be much better.
Exactly.
Power game.
And to your question about why about women in intergender matches in baseball,
yeah,
the Australian women's baseball team, the Emeralds, went 14-6 against top American men's teams in exhibition matches.
Is that softball or baseball?
No, that's full baseball.
Cool.
And they did
There's
what?
no reason they shouldn't.
Well, they beat American male teams.
They beat an American All-Star team 14-6.
Was it a little league team?
No, it wasn't.
Was it professional to team?
It's 9-year-olds.
They threw the ball. They didn't hit the ball with a bat.
They had a pitching machine.
Right, there you go.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Hey, Brian, were you driving by my house like 3 weeks ago?
No, I'm not stalking you. No.
Oh, okay, because I saw a car like yours right near my house.
No, next time I'm over there, I'll definitely try to hit you up.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Why would he be stalking you? No.
I didn't know, because he bought a car right like a couple blocks from me.
Yeah, the McLaren dealer is right around the corner from Ray's house. So.
Yeah. How much is that McLaren costing you to keep
shitload?
Keep going. Does it break down a lot? Does it have problems?
Oh, no.
You can't drive it much.
It depends. Actually, I drive a lot, but it depends on the car, the actual car that you got. I know some guys that have a lot of problems with them, and this one, I had been around for a little bit, and I scoped it out, and this one's a good one. Just had one hose burst.
I don't know anything about cars either. There are a lot of male-oriented things I know nothing about, so maybe I was gay or something. I don't know. But
you were gay in a previous life.
Gay in a previous life.
Yeah.
But
And a baseball player.
I heard that the worst car in the world was the Fiat.
I had a Fiat
Fix it
850.
again,
It was a
Tony.
piece of shit.
Yeah.
I had to push it to start it.
Well, when you're driving through
They're
Italy,
light.
there are signs every like 10 miles that says Fiat dealership. And an arrow pointing to it, like you got to go there because your car breaks down every 10 miles.
I drive a Jeep Compass that's basically it's a Fiat, and it's a pretty good car.
I had a Fiat 850. That thing broke down all the time, and I had to buy the parts in the junkyard. And one time there was one exactly like my car in front of me, and I was behind him, and the engine exploded, like right in front of me. It got on fire. It was hilarious.
Fiat stands for Fix It Again, Tony.
Well, I know that was the old joke. Yeah.
I think the newer ones are a lot better.
Now here's an interesting thing. In Spain, Fiat makes a car, but they can't call it Fiat.
Seat.
You're right. It's a Seat. And why was the reason for that?
Did it mean something?
The Pope didn't want.
No,
it
they
to
had a
happen.
rule in Spain that you could not, if you were a company like Fiat and you wanted to build cars in Spain, you had to build cars in Spain, but you had to have a Spanish partner. And so when you had a Spanish partner, you usually came up with your own brand, and so they called it a Seat instead of a Fiat. But it was the same exact car.
Does the partner have to be a female?
No.
But she has to be mainly on the plane because it rains.
Yeah,
in
okay.
Spain.
Okay.
Sorry, that didn't work.
That was
Okay,
better. That was better than mine, Ray.
10-minute penalty of me not talking.
Did Marjorie ever go to Spain with you, Alex?
No, she's never gone to Spain with me. We went to Italy together.
Ibiza.
But we never went to Spain. No, I don't want to go back to Ibiza. I'd be too disappointed in it. You know.
I remember all the wild times you used to talk about having over there.
Yeah, but I when I went over there, very few people went there, and it was kind of. And the last time I went, it was starting to build up a little bit, but now it's just this party island.
Bunch of ravers.
Huh?
Bunch of ravers.
Bunch of rapers. Yeah.
Ravers.
Oh, I thought you said rapers.
Bunch of rapers.
No, raver. No, that's Epstein's island.
That too.
Yeah. Hello, Jack Bishop.
There he is. Where are you?
Hey, there we go. Hey, listen. I owned Fiats for years.
Yeah.
And he did know a guy named Tony.
No, as a matter of fact, I had good service out of them. I did not have any unusual problems, and not too many problems that you would not experience with any kind. Worst product. Bought a brand new Chevrolet in '72. Worst car I ever owned.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about Seat is owned by Volkswagen for a couple of decades.
No.
Yeah.
No, it was owned by Fiat and then a Spanish group.
But right now, for the last few decades, the last 2 or 3 decades, Seat is a division of Volkswagen.
Really?
Yes.
I think they are now, yeah.
Yeah.
Volkswagen owns a lot of
Let me
different
ask,
companies.
Ross, are you there, Ross? Ross went somewhere, I guess. Because I wanted to ask him about us if there are any indigenous Australian automobiles.
Not anymore.
What do you mean not anymore?
Well, Australia got its first indigenous brand in 1948 called a Holden, which was General Motors. And they quit building them just a few years ago.
So the Subaru Outback isn't an Australian?
No.
As a matter of fact, we still got one Outback in my garage. We had 2 up until here a couple of months ago.
I had one. I had to sell it.
Do you know I haven't owned a car since 2013?
Well, you're a lucky man.
Almost 18 years I have not owned a car.
Well, I quit driving.
a lot of
money. I quit driving a couple of months ago just because I was concerned about driving, you know.
Yeah.
And the situation here in Texas, and Charlie can go along with me on this, I'm sure. The similarity between not having a car in Texas is, along with having a permanent, a hair.
You're breaking up on us,
Yeah,
really bad.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm through. Catch you at the top of the hour for the
Okay.
intersection.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Yeah, he was starting to break up on
Jack
us.
should have bought the '73 Chevy. It was Car and Driver's Car of the Year.
Jack should buy a mesh Wi-Fi network for his house.
I just put in a mesh Wi-Fi network here.
I was listening to an episode of you talking about it, and I was telling you about mesh Wi-Fi years ago.
Yeah, no, but it was the easiest thing I ever had to install.
I gotta get one.
Right.
For months, he's been breaking up on Skype, just like that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, it could be terrible, whatever, where he is. Ross, are you there? He's probably.
I think he's long
Oh,
gone.
he's still not there.
No, I don't think he hung up. I think he just had something he had to do.
So, Charlie, do you know the analogy he was trying to say?
The analogy that Jack was gonna say?
Yeah.
No,
Was
I
it
didn't get
Texas
enough
thing?
information.
Oh.
Well, Jack told me.
He's good at just agreeing with Jack. Yeah, that sounds good.
Jack told me he stopped driving. Has he said that or talked about that on his show?
He just said it right now.
Yeah, that he has decided to stop driving. And my business manager, Gary, who is 84 years old, by the way, has decided not to drive too. And I don't know whether I even can drive anymore.
I cannot wait till the day that I decide I'm going to stop driving.
Well, I think if I were still in California and I still had a car and I was still driving every day, I don't think I would give up on it. I mean, I enjoy driving too much. But I've gone so long without driving a car. About the last time I drove a car was maybe 4 years ago. That I don't know how I would fare driving now.
I wouldn't do it.
You know, I don't have the energy I once had. You know, I'm telling you, in another 7 minutes, I'm going to be 82 years old. And I feel it. Don't even start with that.
My wife came in when I first came on and said, "It's Alex Bennett's birthday."
But no, it's not yet. Not yet.
Depends on where you're at in the country. You have a little over 3 hours here in California.
Do you remember when you were a kid? Well, actually, I should go by California time because that's where I was born.
Birthplace.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not 82 yet. When you were a kid, you always were pressing how old you were. Like, you know, I mean, I'm sure Adrian, Brian, when you ask how old she is, she goes, "How old is she now?" By the way, Brian.
She just turned 6. But
She just turned 6.
5.5.
Yeah, 6 and 3/4. 6 and 3/4. 6 and 8 months. You know, where when you get older, you're not 82 until the clock strikes midnight. You know, up until that time, you're 81, which is bad enough as it is already. You know, so.
Hey, Alex, I just found a web page of famous people with their birthday, and you're on here.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, of course.
Allfamousbirthdays.com. There you are. There's your birthday today.
Really?
Yes.
No.
I swear to God, I'm looking at it right now.
What's it called? All Famous Birthdays?
Allfamousbirthday, singular.com.
Okay. All famous birthday.
Yeah.
Famous. That's an R.
.com.
Well, all famous birthdays comes up immediately, and then probably that's a all famous birthdays. Let me see here. Most famous birthdays.
I just put the link.
I just put the link in the chat.
Singular birthday.
Yeah, it's singular.
Yeah, wait a minute. You just put the link in the chat.
Yeah, down below. Yeah.
Where is the chat here? Let me
on the
see
bottom.
Here. Okay, I'm gonna go find it here. Let me see here. I don't see it. It's not.
I'm looking at it.
Oh, it's in the chat. What?
I see it.
Zoom
now.
chat.
On the in the Zoom chat.
Well,
yeah.
I don't do. Well, I don't want to go to the Zoom
okay.
chat because it causes me a problem. Well, but wait a minute. What is it? All famous birthdays. All famous.
No, birthday.
Day.
I
Day,
know.
not
All
days.
famous birthday. Birthday.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it doesn't come up.
All.
I don't know.
It came up for me. The link you
Okay.
sent, Ray, I got it. It
Yeah.
came up.
Wait a minute. I can't even see.
It had Alex
I need
Bennett
my
right at the bottom there.
I need my glasses.
Said he was
All
104.
famous
It says you're a famous radio personality.
birthday.com.
Oh, it has your net worth.
$7.
$2.85.
What does it have as my net worth?
1.5 million.
1.5 million?
Yeah.
Was that before or after the trial?
Have they got the have they got the right person?
Yeah, this is you.
Marjorie
Yeah.
paid for the trial.
Alex Bennett married
I think
Dave.
Marjorie put that down.
Read the biography.
I'll have to go look at it.
Wait a minute, it's all screwed up. It says you're first. It says you're a radio personality, and then it says you're a female English swimmer.
Yeah.
And what the hell?
You got the wrong Alex Bennett.
No, it's the right one. They just mixed up two different people.
See, when I was putting it in on YouTube today, I got Alex Bennett Barstool.
What?
I don't know if it's some sports show or something. It's that kind of funny sports. Alex Bennett.
Go down further. It says, according to our records, Alex Bennett is possibly single and has not been previously engaged.
Yeah, that's what it
Previously
says.
engaged. As of June
Possibly.
2021,
Not like 4 or
Alex
5
Bennett is
times.
not dating anyone.
Is not dating
Well,
anyone?
you're not dating anyone. You're married, so that's right.
Nobody's spying on you.
I got news for you. At 82, I'm dating everybody.
But it has your date of birth right, so that's good.
He hasn't been the biggest whore ever.
Oh man. But you know, I mean, it's I don't know. 82. Jeez Almighty. You know, this is amazing.
I'm just so happy that I know somebody who's older than me.
Oh, just shut up.
Oh. On that note, good night.
Well, Brian, let's see. Brian is the. Well, Jason, how old are you?
37.
I am not the youngest person here.
Brian is?
No.
Josh.
Josh?
Yeah, Josh is
Oh,
younger.
yeah, Josh is the youngest one here.
He's like 35 or
I
something.
think of him as the oldest one here because he's such an old
Tony.
soul.
Tony's
you know.
Old soul.
Yeah. But
32? I don't know.
huh?
I'm trying to guess how old Josh is.
Yeah.
No, he's like what? You're like 38.
48.
I'm 42.
I think you're 48, aren't you, Josh?
No.
38.
48.
I don't think he's 40 yet.
No, I guess 35. But
Kevin, you know how old
30.
he is, don't you?
No, I don't.
Oh.
To be honest with you.
Okay.
and he ain't saying.
Well, anyway, there's our theme song. Everybody, thank you so much. Jeff, nice having you
Happy
here tonight.
birthday.
Alan, thank you for being here. Josh, terrific having you here. Ross, if you can hear me, nice having you calling us from Australia. Really appreciate it. And of course, it's very nice to have you here as well. Brian Neary, nice to have you. Kevin and Ray Renati and Charlie Wallace and Vernon Null and you know, what can I say but have a nice let's see here. Oh, we're not, this is the last time we do our Saturday. We'll have 2 shows next week and then we're off for like a week and a half. Wednesday and Thursday I'll be here, okay? And we'll be here Monday with the Monday show. Anyway, everybody, give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you, okay? There they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel for tonight. And they've done a very nice job. We appreciate it. And that's about it, actually. We have no more. The Intersection is next with Jack Bishop over most of the same GabNet. We'll see you again. Let's see here. We'll see you again on Monday with the pop-up show that we do at 4 o'clock on Facebook. And then we'll be back here on YouTube again live, 10:30 Eastern Time. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. And also, please, get vaccinated and wear a mask. And if you're doing all of those things, God bless you. Anyway, I'll see you on the other side of 82. Bye.